There are character types that go back thousands, maybe tens of thousands of years. The noble hero, the trickster, the mentor, the miser. My name is Harry Dewulf, and I've been teaching authors to tell better stories for more than a decade, and my character archetype is part magician, part kung fu teacher. Theatrical masks, like this one, represent our link to these millennia of storytelling, so you might be forgiven for expecting something like this in a course about characters. But I don't want to talk about this at all. I want to talk about John McClane. Who? John McClane, main character in the Die Hard movie series. Die Hard and its sequels are not stories that are especially taxing on the intellect. They aren't intended to be. They're intended to grab your attention and lead it on a thrill ride. John McClane is not a character who is especially challenging or thought-provoking. He isn't intended to be. He is pretty one-dimensional. You can't do much character development in the 131-minute running time of Die Hard. The most you can do is really explore that one character, what motivates him, what his values are. But also, with an actor like Bruce Willis, who at the time of the first movie was best known for comedy, you get one extra layer of self-reflection. He sighs resignedly whenever he realises that he's the one who's going to have to be the hero. And when we get to the sequel and the next one and the next one and the next one, that self-reflection almost becomes genre savvy. It's almost as if the character looks at the camera and goes, "Seriously? We're doing this again?" But all this shows why Die Hard and John McClane are the perfect example of the ideal character. Character and story perfectly suited to each other. Not because they're both unchallenging and one-dimensional, but because they arise from the perfect character creation process. This course, Kitless Character Creation, is how I intend to teach you to create characters who are perfectly suited to the story you want to tell, by casting out all the usual techniques and methods and showing you a new way to think about character creation. It's not a way that's new to great authors, but it isn't often talked about, because most of what you know about how stories work is based on analysing finished stories. Because I work with authors every day on the creation of stories, I've based this course on how authors think about characters when they are creating them. I've based it on how characters arise from the creative process of real writers. It's a shift in viewpoint to think about characters not in terms of what they are once they've been created, but in terms of where they come from and what purpose they serve. What makes John McClane so special is his relationship to the story across all 5 movies. It goes something like this. John McClane happens to be somewhere. He sees something happening that seems to him a little off. He has a hunch that bad things are going down, and it turns out he's dead right. But no one else will take it seriously, so he has to deal with it himself. And it turns out he's the only guy who can. There are some small variations to this pattern, such as the idea that McClane is specifically targeted, but of course, in the 3rd movie, the bad guy's whole plan depends on an understanding of that very feature of John McClane's character, the fact that John McClane makes his own story around him. Through the story playing out, we see who he is. We see what his values are. That is the simplest and most precise description of a story. It's a sequence of events that reveals the nature of the characters involved. In a novel, you can take this further by also showing how a story shapes a character, how the events change the character. But of course, as the character changes, their values and priorities change, which in turn affects where the story goes. In Kitless Character Creation, you will learn how to create and develop this intimate relationship between character and story, how to scale it up to multiple characters, how to prioritize the attention you give to them, and how it affects everything from a character's favourite flavour of ice cream through how they feel about how they look. It will enable you to create characters who are so well integrated with their stories that the story itself will seem to write itself. Each lesson comes with an optional assignment and the possibility of getting commentary on your assignment directly from me. I look forward to seeing how you get on.